The moment you consciously decide to try and make her miss you, you have already lost. This isn't a judgment. It's a fundamental law of emotional dynamics. The very intention, born from a place of lack and fear, signals a surrender of your personal power. You are effectively announcing to your own psyche and to the invisible energy between you that your equilibrium is dependent on her reaction. Your focus, which was once directed inward on your own life, goals, and well-being, performs a desperate involuntary lurch outward. It lands squarely on her. Suddenly, her emotions, her perceptions, her decisions, more accurately, your interpretation of them become the central operating system of your world. You are no longer the author of your own story. You have become a character desperately trying to guess the plot of hers. This shift is not subtle. It permeates your every thought and action, transforming them from authentic expressions of self into calculated performances. You stop asking, "What do I want to do today?" and start asking, "What can I do today that will make her see what she's missing?" This is the genesis of the performance. You become an actor in a play staged entirely for an audience of one. You post a photo not to share a genuine moment of joy, but to curate an image of a life blissfully moving on without her. You force yourself to go out, not for connection or fun, but to gather evidence, potential social media posts, or anecdotes that prove your independence. You might even resort to the oldest trick in the book, the jealousy play, subtly showcasing another woman, hoping to trigger a possessive spark. But every single one of these actions is a leak. It's energy seeping out of you, directed toward her. You are feeding her, even in your silence, with your attention. The cruelest irony in this entire dynamic is that your efforts achieve the exact opposite of their intended goal. You are operating on a flawed premise that absence makes the heart grow fonder. But that's only half the truth. Absence makes the heart grow fonder for what is perceived as gone, for what feels lost and unreachable. By constantly inserting yourself into her digital periphery, liking a story, reacting to a post, sending a vague hope you're well text, you are not becoming absent. You are loudly and clearly announcing your continued presence and availability. You are the emotional equivalent of a store that's always open, with a neon "We're still here" sign flashing in the window. There is no mystery, no scarcity, and therefore no reason for the longing you so desperately seek to create. She feels comfortable without you because you have never truly left. You are an echo she can hear whenever she chooses to listen. A satellite still orbiting her world. This desperate energy is not a subtle scent. It's a pungent aroma that anyone with a shred of emotional intelligence can detect. Women in particular are often highly attuned emotional readers. They may not be able to articulate it in these terms. They can feel the difference between genuine confidence and the brittle facade of performance. Your attempts to appear unbothered, when every action is secretly tied to her potential reaction, radiate a frequency of neediness. It's desperation disguised as confidence. The gym selfie you posted to show off your progress doesn't scream, "I'm improving." It whispers, "Look at me. Please notice me." The casual story of you laughing with friends doesn't broadcast, "I'm happy." It signals, "I am performing happiness for your benefit." She can feel the strings attached to your every move, and it's this very neediness that solidifies her comfort in moving on. You have made yourself predictable, and therefore safe to ignore. Ultimately, its entire exhausting endeavor, the plotting, the performing, the watching, the waiting, is a profound abandonment of self. You have vacated the throne of your own life and are now kneeling at the gates of hers, begging for re-entry. The power you seek to regain cannot be found in her validation. It can only be found where you left it, within yourself. The man who is busy building a life he genuinely loves does not have the time or mental bandwidth to engineer a campaign of missing. His focus is on his craft, his health, his peace, his growth. His energy is contained, directed inward, and because of that, it becomes magnetic. He isn't trying to make anyone miss him because he is fully present in his own existence. The first and most critical step in reclaiming your power is to recognize the futile, self-defeating circus of trying to control her feelings, and to decide once and for all to walk out of the big top and back into your own life. The initial painful realization that chasing is futile creates a vacuum. In the silence left by your frantic efforts, a choice emerges. This is the critical juncture where most men falter, mistaking inaction for power. They simply stop texting, but their mind remains a theater where she is still the star performer. This is not letting go. It is repressed chasing. The true power of letting go is not found in a new set of actions, but in a fundamental shift in intention. It is the difference between disappearing to make her notice and disappearing because you have finally noticed yourself. The former is just another tactic, a louder performance with a different script. The latter is a genuine homecoming. When you choose to return to yourself, the energy you emit undergoes a complete and undeniable transformation. For weeks, perhaps months, your energy has been like a persistent, static hum directed at her, a constant, low-grade signal of your attention and need. When you genuinely disconnect, that hum stops. It isn't replaced by a new noise. It is replaced by a profound and authentic silence. This is what she will feel, even from a distance. It's not the cold, calculated silence of a man giving her the silent treatment. That kind of silence is aggressive. It is an attack that demands a reaction. The silence of true letting go is passive and self-contained. It is the sound of a man who has simply turned his attention elsewhere. He is not ignoring her. He has become uninterested in the entire game she represents. This is the silence that becomes deafening because for the first time, it is real. This shift is not about punishing her for her distance or for the pain she caused. Framing it as punishment keeps you tethered to her, defining your actions as a reaction to hers. True progress is entirely self-referential. It is the decision that your own peace, your own growth, and your own sanity are more valuable than any potential outcome with her. You are not withdrawing your affection to teach her a lesson. You are withdrawing it to reinvest it in yourself. This is what makes the dynamic flip. She is no longer the prize. Your own wholeness is when you stop seeing her as the source of your happiness or the validator of your worth. You reclaim a sovereignty that is intensely powerful. Your attention, which was once a given, constant she could rely on regardless of how she treated you, becomes selective and scarce. It is no longer a free resource she can tap into for an ego boost. It becomes a valued currency, and you are no longer giving it away freely. It is within this newfound space that the most potent realization begins to dawn on her. It's not the physical distance that creates the ache of absence. It's what she intuits is growing within that distance. While she was accustomed to you being a constant, orbiting planet in her emotional solar system, she now senses that you have broken orbit. The steady, predictable gravity of your attention has vanished. The realization that you are not just pouting, not just playing a more sophisticated game, but genuinely and calmly moving on without malice or drama is what truly stings. It's the feeling of a door closing, not with a slam, but with a soft final click. She begins to wonder, not if you are thinking of her, but what you are thinking about instead of her. Your absence becomes a presence in her mind precisely because it is no longer about her. This process is an internal revolution. It's not an external campaign. The man who is genuinely letting go is not the man posting triumphant gym selfies with captions about leveling up. That man is still on the stage, just in a different costume. The man who is truly returning to himself is often invisible online. He is the one reading a book that has nothing to do with relationships. Finally, tackling a project he's put off for years, or simply relearning how to enjoy his own company on a quiet Saturday. His growth is internal, and because it is real, it radiates outward in subtle, undeniable ways. His voice may be calmer. His eyes may hold a new kind of stillness. His conversations are no longer laced with subtext about his ex. He is present in his own life. This is the magnetic pull of authentic detachment. It is not a tool to be used, but a state of being to be achieved. It communicates one simple, devastating truth without a single word being spoken. I have accepted the loss. And in doing so, I have found something I value more. I have found myself. That is an energy that cannot be faked, manipulated, or strategized. It is earned through the difficult, humble work of turning away from the drama of chasing and facing the quiet truth of your own life. And in that quiet truth, you build a foundation of power that no one can ever take from you. The silence and detachment you have cultivated are not an end in themselves. They are not a destination, but a prerequisite, the cleared and leveled ground upon which you must now build. This is the phase where intention meets action, where the energy you have withdrawn from her is deliberately and forcefully redirected inward. The goal shifts definitively from trying to make her miss you to a far more profound and permanent objective, making yourself missable. This is not an image you project, but a substance you become. It is the transformation from a man defined by his reaction to a woman, to a man defined by his own purpose, discipline, and self-regard. This rebuilding begins with the most fundamental relationship you have, the one with your own body and immediate environment. You start dressing better, not for the gaze of others or the hope of a chance encounter, but for the simple, private dignity of self-respect. The act of choosing a well-fitted shirt becomes a silent promise to yourself. You start working out, not as a performance of anger or a campaign of revenge, but as a daily ritual of self-investment. The burn in your muscles is no longer about sculpting a body she might desire. It is about building a temple for your own discipline and peace. Your physical form becomes the first tangible evidence of your new commitment. It is no longer an object to be evaluated, but an instrument of your will. This is not vanity. It is sovereignty. Concurrently, you must attack the mental and emotional space she once occupied. The hours previously lost to scrolling through her profiles, dissecting old messages, or crafting new ways to get her attention must be filled. Not just with distraction, but with construction. You start building, focusing, and creating. This could be your career, a long-neglected hobby, skill you've always wanted to learn, or a business idea you once dismissed as a fantasy. The specific activity is less important than the intent behind it. You are learning to channel your emotional intensity into creative or productive output. The anxiety that once fueled your chasing is now the fuel for your focus. The silence you once feared is now the sacred space where your craft develops. This is how you make the silence sacred, by filling it with meaning that is entirely your own. As this internal construction project gains momentum, subtle but powerful shift occurs in your aura. You begin to carry yourself with the unshakable calm of a man who is deeply invested in his own world. Your energy is no longer scattered, seeking external validation. It is contained, directed, and purposeful. This is the detachment that becomes magnetic. It's not the aloofness of indifference, but the quiet confidence of a man who is simply too busy building his own empire to notice, who is or isn't watching from the sidelines. Your calmness communicates a profound truth. I am good, whether you are here or not. She can compete with another woman, but she cannot compete with your purpose. She cannot argue with your peace. This process fundamentally changes what people, specifically, she'll find missable about you. It's a common misconception that women miss a checklist of attributes: his smile, his humor, the memories they shared. While those surface-level things have their place, what creates a lasting, aching void is the absence of a specific energy. Women are profoundly attuned to the emotional experience a man provides. They don't just miss the person. They miss the feeling of being in the presence of a man who was self-contained, grounded, and directed. They miss the safety and excitement of orbiting a man who was the center of his own gravity. When you were needy and chasing, you offered a chaotic, draining energy. Now, by building a life of purpose, you offer the energy of stability and calm masculine direction. This is the energy she will find herself longing for. Often without fully understanding why, the final and most crucial element of this chapter is the internal reframing of your own value. You are not doing these things as a means to an end. This is not a sophisticated long-term strategy to win her back. The moment you slip into that mindset, you have re-entered the performance, and the entire foundation crumbles. The growth must be its own reward. You work out because you respect the vessel you inhabit. You build your career because you have a vision for your life. You cultivate peace because you deserve to live without turmoil. You become a man who doesn't need her validation. because you are actively validating yourself through tangible achievement and self-care. You are not becoming the prize. You are recognizing that you always were, and you are now simply acting in accordance with that truth. The man who emerges from this chapter is not a better version for her. He is a better version for himself. And that is the only man who is truly, deeply, and unforgettably missable. The peace you have built, the new identity you have, forged it, all exists in a controlled environment until it is tested. And tested it will be. The universe, and particularly the woman you have detached from, has a way of sending probes to see if the transformation is real or merely a facade. This chapter is not about the quiet work of self-improvement. It is about the active, often tense, application of your newfound strength. The silence you have cultivated was never meant to be a permanent state of isolation. It was the calm before a confrontation, not with her, but with the ghost of your old self. She will feel the shift in your energy long before any words are exchanged. The constant low-grade attention she could once rely on has vanished, placed by a silence that is neither angry nor inviting. It is simply neutral. This neutrality is deeply unsettling to anyone who is accustomed to your emotional predictability. It creates a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. To fill it, she will initiate contact. It will rarely be a grand declaration or an apology. It will be a seemingly casual, almost innocent probe, a "Hey stranger" text, a reaction to an old story of yours, a question about a shared item left behind, or a nostalgic "I was just thinking about you." ... Message. The content is irrelevant. The subtext is everything. This is not a check-in. It is a systems check. She is not testing the waters to see if she loves you. She is testing the wiring to see if she still controls the lights. Your response in this moment is the single most defining action of the entire post-breakup dynamic. It is the crucible where your internal growth is either forged into unbreakable steel or revealed as brittle glass. Every fiber of your old being, every neuron wired for her approval, will scream at you to engage. It will present you with logical, seemingly sound reasons. Be polite. Don't be rude, maybe she's really hurting. This is the siren song of the old contract, the one where your kindness was a loophole for your neediness. To reply immediately, to offer a lengthy, engaged response, is to fail the test. You are showing her that her signal still instantly commands your output. You are the same predictable satellite, merely on a different orbit. The correct response is not necessarily to ignore her permanently, though that is a valid and powerful option. The correct response is to demonstrate, through your calm and deliberate action, that her probe has not disrupted your internal world. This means your response, if you choose to give one, must be governed by your new priorities, not her timing. A response that is calm, polite, delayed for hours or even a day, communicates more power than any clever or emotional reply ever could. It says, "I saw your message, and it was not an emergency. I have a life that commands my attention, and you are no longer at the center of it." The tone should be that of a man speaking to a casual acquaintance, friendly but not invested, brief but not brusque. You are not ignoring her to punish her. You are simply no longer rewarding the probe with the energy it seeks. This is the essence of emotional mastery, the ability to feel the internal to-go-vor without letting it dictate your actions. The old you would have felt a jolt of adrenaline, a rush of hope or anxiety, and would have immediately capitulated to that feeling. The new you feels the jolt, acknowledges it, and then consciously chooses a different path. You feel the urge to text, but you act with discipline. You feel the pull of the drama, but you choose the stability of your peace. This is what it means to be emotionally sovereign. Your feelings no longer control you. You have become the conscious operator of your own reactions. This calm control is unnerving to her because her entire understanding of you was built on your reactivity. You have changed the rules of a game she thought she had mastered. When you pass this test, you'll create a profound cognitive dissonance within her. The man who once begged for crumbs of attention is now politely declining a full loaf offered directly to him. This forces her to reconcile the man she remembers with the man who now stands before her in spirit. She will realize that your silence was not a tactic within the old game, but a sign that you have left the stadium entirely. The power dynamic doesn't just flip, it dissolves. The game is over because you have refused to play. Your peace is no longer dependent on her actions, and in that realization, she loses all leverage. The hunter, confused and disoriented, suddenly finds herself as the one who is now observing, wondering, and yes, beginning to miss the one who got away not from her, but from the dysfunctional pattern you are both trapped in. This is the moment your evolution becomes undeniable, not just to you, but to the very person who inspired it. The final stage is not marked by a dramatic victory or a moment of vengeful satisfaction. It arrives quietly like the dawn after a long night. It is a profound and lasting internal shift where the struggle simply ceases. The obsession that once clouded your mind evaporates, not through force of will, but through a gradual, organic process of outgrowing it. You realize you have stopped keeping score. The questions that once tormented you, does she miss me? Is she seeing someone? Will she come back? No longer hold any charge? They are like old, faded documents from a life you no longer live. Their urgency replaced by a deep and abiding curiosity about your own future. The need for closure, which once felt like a life-forward necessity, is replaced by a simple, self-evident truth. Your peace is the closure. This is the stage of sovereignty. Your worth and identity are no longer external concepts you have to defend or prove. They are internal realities you simply inhabit. You no longer explain your value because you embody it. You move through the world with a different energy. Your posture is straighter, not from arrogance, but from a lack of the invisible weight you once carried. Your voice is calmer, your gaze is steadier, because you are no longer scanning every room for a potential threat to your ego. Your presence commands respect not because you demand it, but because you radiate a self-containment that is inherently respectable. You have become the calm in the storm. People are naturally drawn to that stability. In this state, your entire perspective on love and connection transforms. You no longer see relationships as a source of validation, but as a potential reflection of your own internal wholeness. You understand that the chaotic, insecure relationships of your past were merely mirrors of the chaos and insecurity within you. Now grounded and self-possessed, you begin to attract a different caliber of energy. You attract calm, maturity, and depth because you have become those things. You are no longer the pursuer desperately seeking to be chosen. You have become the chooser, calmly discerning who is worthy of being invited into the sanctuary of your life. You don't chase love. You let it land on your shoulder, and you only engage if it enhances your peace. The ultimate irony. The final twist in this entire journey is that this state of genuine, non-performative moving on is what truly becomes unforgettable. The man who begged and pleaded as a pathetic memory, easily dismissed. The man who became bitter and vengeful as a cautionary tale, easily forgotten. But the man who faced the pain, absorbed it, and used it as fuel for his own evolution. The man who let go without malice and rebuilt himself with grace, that man becomes a permanent landmark in her emotional history. He is the one she will remember not with pity or annoyance, but with a strange, lingering respect. He is the standard against which others are measured, not because he was perfect, but because his response to being broken was to reassemble himself into something stronger and more beautiful, if she ever does circle back. The encounter will be anticlimactic in the most powerful way. There will be no rush of adrenaline, no surge of old feelings, no satisfying moment of her admitting she was wrong. Instead, you will feel a profound and simple clarity. You will look at her and see a person from your past, and you will feel a genuine, detached sense of goodwill. You can wish her well, mean it, and feel absolutely zero need to be part of her journey anymore. Your indifference is not cold. It is the natural result of having filled the space she once occupied with a life you truly love. Her attempt to reconnect feels like a faint echo from a distant place, when you have no desire to revisit. This is the final liberation. You have reclaimed every ounce of energy you once poured into her. That energy, now a self-sustaining reactor, fuels your purpose, your discipline, and your joy. You wake up excited about your goals, not your messages. Your life has a momentum that is entirely your own. The man who once feared being alone now treasures his solitude as a source of strength and creativity. You have learned the most valuable lesson of all, that the only person you ever needed to make miss was the man you were before you lost yourself. And in finding him again, you have built a life so complete that whether anyone else misses you is a question that simply no longer matters. You are free, not from her, but from the need for her. And in that freedom, you have become the kind of man who is not just missed, but forever remembered as the one who taught a silent lesson in strength, dignity, and the power of letting go.